Alright guys, so today's theme video is Linkin Park. I've talked about this in my past vlogs. We're going to do like a Linkin Park Generations video, and I'm here with my brother Brent.
Hello.
And you've seen him in a lot of my vlogs, so basically we're just going to talk about like how we feel about the albums and all of their music over time since what, 2000?
2000 technically. I forgot what year they started. I think it's like 99 technically. And when they got famous, they've been around since like 96.
Yeah, and honestly, I got this idea from a vlogger named Alex McCreary, and his vlog or video was about Coldplay specifically, so if you want to see his video, I'll have a link in the description below, and I'll put all his like social media and stuff. He's a really good vlogger, check him out. But yeah, we got that idea from him, except for we're going to do it with Linkin Park because we're actually, you know, Linkin Park has been a part of our lives for like, ever since I was a 5-year-old, so a good 10 years.
Ever since she was born and ever since I first heard Hybrid Theory
on
the radio.
And how old were you when you first heard Linkin Park?
When I first heard Linkin Park, it was when Hybrid Theory came out, I think it was 2000. And my first album I owned by then was Live in Texas, so it was like 2003. I wasn't a huge fan the entire time, but then after I got the Live in Texas, I was like the little 10-year-old running around the house. Like in the living room, we had a very big entertainment system, so I had that running on repeat most of the day. Like, and it would get me going. Like I would come home and like mop the floor. I'd get my little allowance. I'd be blasting Linkin Park.
Yeah, he was obsessed. I remember that was Live in Texas was the video that I saw personally, and he would constantly watch it. And I was intrigued with it because when you're like a younger sibling, you're really, you know, amazed by whatever your older sibling's into. And that's basically how I felt. I was like, wow, if he's really into this must be really, really cool. So I just liked them ever since then. And when I was younger, you know, it was more of a thing where I kind of copied you. But then as I got older, I actually started to like the band. And so, yeah, what we're going to get into is just talking about the albums and stuff. So, cut to that. Hybrid Theory was Linkin Park's first album. Now, explain Hybrid Theory to me. How did you feel about that album? Like, what did it make you feel like?
Hybrid Theory was, I think, it was their first, like their EP album. And what I think about it is like, it's what they had developed over years of them experimenting with different sounds. Like the band started off with Rob Borden and Mike Shinoda, the guitarist for Linkin Park, and pretty much everything else, the producer, the songwriter, guitar player, Mike Shinoda. And since 1994, they were together. They met in high school and they were developing a sound with like the name Hybrid Theory. It was to explain rap, rock, and technical, like electronic, all things mixed together seamlessly. And so that was their first attempt at doing it, and it was a huge success. And it was brilliant. Like it's a lot of fun. They
exploded.
To listen to. Yeah, they really did.
That was
they were part of the nu metal movement. They were probably the forefront of it. They were the most massively successful band, and they're still around doing nu metal. There's no other bands still doing what they're doing.
That compared to them.
And they're not making nearly as much money if they are.
Yeah, and Linkin Park Hybrid Theory, the song that I think everybody knew, among others, was One Step Closer. Of course everyone knew that song.
That was a single.
One Step Closer to the Edge.
There was that one, and it was Numb. Those are both off of Hybrid Theory.
My favorite, okay, these are like my favorite songs from Hybrid Theory, was Paper Cut, One Step Closer, Points of Authority, Crawling, In the End, A Place for My Head. Not pushing me away as much, but I liked High Voltage as well. And the rest of the songs are like iffy with me. I liked them a lot, but the ones I just named off were like the ones that I could listen to a trillion times and not get bored of. I have them all on my cell phone.
Paper Cut is excellent. It's like an old school breakbeat that goes into like Mike super fast rapping, like Chester's lyrics put together pretty awesomely. One Step Closer has fun guitar riffs on it. I always like that one because Points of Authority. My personal favorite is when they remixed that song on the Reanimation album, because like
the Reanimation album made this pop out so much more. Like,
oh yeah,
like instrumentally, because in the background it was just like you're just like drawn into the music more.
You really were, and so they went with the Reanimation album. They're like, all right, here you go. We're gonna like do our thing all over this track instead of just, you know, lyrics, whatever, to appease. Crawling was okay. I was never too big in that one by myself. I like all of these songs, to be honest.
This whole album was just all around amazing.
It was
like
a good one.
This was probably like one of the albums where you could listen to all the songs and enjoy them thoroughly.
It was so good that like people like them just nowadays still for that album. They hate their new stuff.
a lot of people hate their new stuff, but I have a lot of conflict and like controversy with that because I feel like they're constantly changing, and I feel like that's a good thing in a band. Because if you're in a band,
you're growing. You're not.
Yeah, and if
like,
you have the same stuff over and over and
Limp
over
Bizkit
again,
or POD or like.
It's so boring.
Who else was there? It was Youth of a Nation who made that song.
Yeah.
Like those bands.
Yeah, those bands are the same thing. That's why I respect.
Those are a good example of not growing.
Yeah, like Linkin Park, each album was different. It changed.
One thing I really like about Linkin Park is Mike Shinoda. He's a very hard worker and he loves what he does, and he likes to keep things fresh. Like he knows how to make an atmosphere and draw you into it and to keep changing it. Like a synthetic world that he's created with his music.
Didn't you say that was your man crush? Like I asked him one day, I was like, of all male, like famous people, whatever. If you were gay for one day, who would you go gay for? And Brentyn decided that Mike Shinoda was the guy he'd go gay for. That and Robert Downey Jr., but, you know, he's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, it's off the top of the head.
Yeah. Moving on to Meteora. Comparing Meteora and Hybrid Theory, like, which one is better? Which one would you pick?
Meteor was their biggest success. That one went multi-platinum in multiple countries, including New Zealand and, like, Australia and United States and, like, United Kingdom, I think.
That's insane. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, like Tokyo and just like, whoa, I get goosebumps talking about it because I really love the band. But,
isn't it crazy? Like, didn't you just tell me recently that where they started, they just went back to that same spot and they like imprinted their hands or something?
Oh yeah, I forgot when that was specifically. But they went back to Hollywood Boulevard and there's like a guitar place there and it's really famous. It's a big milestone to get there. And they went there. It's the same street where they would go to practice for 5 hours a day with their band. And they went back to the same street to imprint their hands after all their massive success after like so many years.
It's like, literally an example of like a full circle.
15 years now.
A full circle of time. They went like, yeah, and they went back to the spot where they started, which is for a band member, like just that feeling of accomplishment and being in that spot. You're like, wow, 15 years ago, I wasn't anything yet. And now I've accomplished all this. Like, that feeling must be so special. And Collision Course, among all their other albums, I would say is my least favorite of them all. I respect what they're trying to do, but it's not my favorite. This isn't really in order. Let's talk about Reanimation. You said, like, Reanimation was basically, like, amplifying the first and second album, kind of, right?
Yes, very electronic, like Reanimation. As the cover of it is a transformer. So it signifies the electronic feel to the music. If they really
like brought out that.
Yeah, if you have your organic and your electronic, they really turn the volume up in the electronic in that album.
What was your favorite like song that they kind of?
Crawling.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. It's because
I like Place for My Head too on that.
And also, Forgotten. That one has a sick beat on it. They use organic instruments with a really well articulated electronic background, like atmosphere going on inside that one. There's a lot of good songs out, but namely Crawling, because off that album it's called KRWLNG, because they make all the names, you know, they remix the names just to add to it.
Yeah.
And one of their, in like 1997, they had a video of all of them together with Chester. Like Chester had just gotten into the band and they were jamming to their song Place for My Head. And inside their little home studio apartment that they had before anyone knew about them, they had posters on the walls of their favorite band, and one of them that was right behind, like where the camera was set up, was Stained. And in the Crawling remix, they have the lead singer Aaron Lewis on that song.
Wow.
On that song, and he was on a poster. Like, so they've got to work with everyone that they used to listen to. It's just like.
That's pretty awesome. That's so cool. Like,
not only that, the composition is beautiful. The way they wrap organic violin in a electronic, string sound.
Yeah.
And like the way they orchestrated the song, it wasn't like, it is the same song, but it's like Beethoven got his hands on it or something.
Yeah, like the Reanimation album was just it was my favorite, kind of my favorite, because of how they just blended both of the albums kind of together and just, as I said before, amplified it and brought out the
And with that kind of music, it's really easy to get really choppy or to like just do it too much.
But they didn't do it. I don't think they did.
They have articulation going on. It's very nice.
So yeah, like if you haven't listened to Linkin Park very much and you haven't really given them a chance, I highly, if you're gonna check out any of their albums, the Reanimation album would be a good first impression.
About it. Like, how familiar is the name Linkin Park compared to any other band that does that kind of music?
Yeah.
That's their.
That's their genre. So it's like Elvis Presley to rock and Michael Jackson to pop, Linkin Park to new metal.
Linkin Park is definitely the king of new metal.
Yeah.
It's like undisputed.
How'd you feel about their Minutes to Midnight album?
Oh, this one's interesting. So the first.
That was a huge change in their music thing. That was when
it
they
was
were
very big change.
when they were going from this like vibe of Meteor, Hybrid Theory, Reanimation, then bam, they throw this in your face of totally new style. Like Chester Bennington usually belts out screaming. This is when he started to calm down, when he just started to kind of sing regularly.
Well, when this album had come out, he had a couple of throat surgeries.
So he had to like tame it down a bit. But you know, I was a fan of what was it? No More Sorrow.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a
had
good
an
one.
interesting guitar verse on it.
And
It's
What
really
I've
good.
Done. What I've Done was a good song from that album. At first, that was the only song I liked on that album, but then I listened to more of it, and I was like, wow, there's actually good, like Shadow of the Day as well.
Mm-hmm.
All those songs are good. Like, what do you
Little
think?
Things Give You Away.
Yeah.
Such a good song.
That whole album, basically, just like the first two, was really good. At first, I was really, really hesitant at accepting the change of it from their old music. Like, I was like, I don't really like this.
I think I was like 13 or 14 in Canada,
And when that came out.
Uncle Rick,
Mm-hmm.
he had bought me the album because we were talking about my favorite bands. He's like, "What's your favorite band?" I was like, "Linkin Park." And then so he went and bought me a gift. I took the CD and I put it into the entertainment system downstairs. Remember me and Addie would play the Xbox constantly. All right, so we put it in there, and I was listening to the intro. I was like, "Okay, this is cool. I kind of like this." And like when the first song started playing and like the rest of the album, I was like,
This is so weird.
"This is
It was a
too weird.
huge
I don't know if I
change.
like this at all." So I put the CD away for like
But
a
then
year.
it stuck, though, right?
A year or two, and like over time, like over the next few years after the album came out, I really started to appreciate it. And now I can say that I like every song off that album as well.
Yeah, this is and I think a lot of Linkin Park fans can say the same thing about it because a lot of them felt the same way about that album, because everyone was just kind of shocked with what they did. How did you feel about their Thousand Suns album, their previous album?
The Thousand Suns album, when that one came out, I was like, all right, so.
What are they doing?
No, Minutes to Midnight and Meteor, like, and they're kind of twisting it around a little bit. You know, they're going back to the roots just a tiny bit, and they're also reaching forth to grab like new genres.
Yeah, and A Thousand Suns
And
was...
what they did with A Thousand Suns, they went and created their own genre. And when I
Exactly.
first heard A Thousand Suns, really fresh. Like, I really like this. It's refreshing. It's not so weird as like that feeling that you got from 7 Minutes to Midnight. Because when we first heard that one, it was like,
You're weirded
I had to
out.
feel like surgery. Like someone opened up my brain and they went into the Linkin Park category and they're messing around with things. I didn't like where they were putting stuff. I was like, no, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah, like...
But then Thousand Suns, they kind of put some things back in the old places. And I was like, all right, I kind of like this.
Yeah, and
I like when they come for me.
all right.
What they do is they mess with harmony between voices. What they did is they mixed Chester's and Mike's voices so seamlessly you cannot tell unless you're really listening to it, because you can tell. I've listened for so long and hear the difference between the voices. And also it says me and you at the same time. He says the lyric, when they come for me, I'll be gone. But when he says
That's
me,
the
it's a
song.
very subtle you is right underneath it. And what they do is they take the same pitch and it's volume levels. What they do is they put the you somewhere. I know I want to mess with that and see how they did that.
Yeah, that song, this song, like, I mean, that album, now I remember what A Thousand Suns is because of you just explaining that. And that had a really, like, deeper tone to it than a lot of their albums. There was a lot more deepness to it. That's what I respected about that one. But then with Living Things, that's the right album.
When
Burn
Living
It Down
Things
was my
came
favorite.
back, I had the same. It was like when Hybrid Theory or Meteor came out. I was like, bam, they hit me home again.
That was such a good album.
Living Things was another excellent album.
And, yeah, Burn It Down was an amazing song. We're building it. I bet you most people know what that song is because that was on the radio forever by Linkin Park. Burn It Down.
Colors conflicted
Yeah.
as
And
the
then,
flames climb.
what did you like about Living Things? What theme?
What song or theme?
Like, what did you like about that album?
Oh, Living Things. It was like they kind of put that style that they did with where they took Minutes to Midnight, like the whole experimentation process, and A Thousand Suns, and then they put it into overdrive and like injected steroids into it, and then they came out with Living Things, and it was like
Amazing.
yes,
And that's what I respect about them because some artists wait like years and years at a time.
Tools namely.
Yeah. To freaking come out with all that stuff, but I like how they just released, now this is the final album, this is their most recent, Hunting Party.
Hunting Party.
And me and Brentyn the other day got to listen to a pretty good chunk of that album, and my favorite from it is
Until It's Gone.
Until It's Gone. That so far is my favorite song on the album, but I love the introduction to Hunting Party.
It's like
We just listened to this a week ago, so we're just like still fresh on it.
they took their style and they went more visceral with it. They kind of put it into a metal box and they start shaking it around. Like there's a living thing inside of it. It's just like bashed around the metal walls, and it's cool because like those who think they got soft. I mean, as far as pop music goes,
there was so much hate comments on that though. I was kind of mad. I was like, they're still changing and still sounding good. That was another change in their voices and in their music, and that song is so, that album is so powerful.
That's one thing about Linkin Park too. They always had a lot of people who hated them
And a lot of people who loved them. Yeah.
Either way, you're getting hate or love. It's like
with anything, really. There's always going to be haters and lovers, and I'm a lover. Hunting Party, compared to their old ones, I feel like, with this band, I feel like I've watched a kid grow up or something. Like, go from this, like, child to, like, you know, another stage in their life. I feel like I feel like they're constantly going this way. With a lot of bands, they reach their peak and then they drop. They suck after that. Linkin Park, they're still climbing upward. Like, they still haven't hit that downfall. No, but, so, Hunting Party is the last album that they've come out with, and they're going to be around for a while, I think. I think they're going to be one of those bands that just keep coming and coming.
I hope so. I was literally just thinking about Mike Shinoda with like a long range like 2020, 2030.
Or something. He's like, okay, we've come out with an album called The End of Days.
He's like, here's my new album. It's called Cheese and Wine.
Now, out of all of Linkin Park, what album hit you the hardest that you can think of right now?
Like,
the best one. You have to pick a favorite.
Living Things, I would have to say.
Is your favorite, absolute favorite?
I mean, I don't know if it was like as immense as like the emotional like pull that the Hybrid Theory and Meteor had, but as far as fresh and like new goes, like what's happening now, Living Things will be my favorite.
Mine is definitely a tear between Hybrid Theory and Meteor, because that's their like getting out their albums and, you know, showing their style and that was them just like basically burning their imprint into like the music world. And those two albums were my favorite because I liked every single song on both albums, so I'm torn between those. I can't pick between them. My least favorite, as I've said, was Jay-Z, the Jay-Z thing.
The closing verse.
Yeah. But other than that, Reanimation, Living Things, 1,000 Suns, Minutes to Midnight, and now Hunting Party, they're all very good, and honestly, I love Hunting Party too, so far. I love it. I'm going to download it to my phone. Oh, okay. This is a hard one. You have to pick one. You have to. What's your favorite song by Linkin Park? One song.
Entirely of all time.
Okay, this will change too throughout time. That'll change constantly. But right now, in your mood and your mindset, what's your favorite song?
Alright, now it'll have to be, I don't even know if it's on one of their albums. It's one of those songs that kind of just like ended up on the internet somehow. I forgot the name though. Oh, Step Up. Step Up is definitely my favorite song by them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I remember you showed me that one. That was actually awesome.
Step Up.
My favorite song is so hard because there's so many good ones. But in my mood right now.
And Step Up isn't on one of their albums. They have a lot of songs out there that aren't even on their albums. It's because they pooped on the internet one day.
Yeah.
Like,
I think my favorite song by them as of right now though is like. Right now in my mood, this will change, is like Points of Authority, Reanimation. Because it's like stuck to me.
Yeah. Before the innocence.
It really makes me want to listen to them right now because we're talking about them.
Yeah, and it's like super intense. It's like an electronic sound that just like smacks you in the head.
So yeah, like that's our Linkin Park experience, and him and I definitely highly recommend to anyone out there who's never heard of Linkin Park, please go look at them.
Yeah, you should look up like Linkin Park funny moments, early 2000s.
They're
really fun to watch.
Yeah,
they're funny.
Yeah, and like the one where Mike Shinoda's on stage and a bra gets thrown at him and he throws it back. He doesn't even acknowledge it. He just picks it up and throws it.
Dude, someone slowed that video down. The lady who saw it, she was like, ah ha ha ha, and they slowed it down. It was like, rah, ha, ha. It was obnoxious.
Thanks for watching this, though. Like, I know a lot of you probably clicked out of this because you're like, wow, this is a video about Linkin Park. But the people that stuck in there and actually watched this whole thing about our opinions, thank you so much, because that's awesome of you to actually watch this whole thing. And I wanted to give props to Kokoba, the kitty, for sitting here for the last half of the video. I love you, boo boo. You're gonna have to leave now. Also giving props to Nick for holding up Brentyn's mug the whole entire video.
It'd be funny, like, because we were looking for a table, and I was like, what if we had Nick just hold the cup the entire time?
Because my last name's Hand, and why not use a hand, you know? I give a hand.
And yeah, and the whole entire time, he just held the thing, and I think that's pretty cool. You probably didn't notice it throughout the video. A lot of you probably did not notice that, but if you did, you have a keen eye. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. If you didn't know already, I'm a daily vlogger. I daily vlog, and I hope that if you're into vlogs, that's what I do. And I'm making kind of skits right now, so give this video a thumbs up, and I'll have his links below, Brentyn Macmillan. He'll be in the thing below. Subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Don't beat me, Matt.
You got your ass all over